All right, Andy Johnson, we're looking at academic writing, a few more tips, and specifically we're focusing on literature reviews. These are the 5 areas we're going to cover, so let's jump right into it. Let's look at the question. It helps to use a question to guide your literature review. You are asking a question and you're using the literature to answer your question. You're not doing a report on something. And it helps to keep that question as specific and narrow as possible. For example, I was interested in the topic of the impact of thinking skills instruction on elementary students' writing. I put that then in the form of a question. It could have been any one of these questions, but that question helped focus my note-taking and exactly what I included, what the articles I found, the notes I took, the data I included. So I used the question, asked the question, and used the data in the form of my notes and journal articles and research to answer that question. Now, sometimes it helps to think about the end state, what you want to know or be able to do at the end. I want to be able to support it. I want to know how best to do it. For example, in terms of thinking skills and writing, I want to be able to support the use of thinking skills instruction for writing. And I want to know how best to teach thinking skills and how best to use thinking skills in writing. I want to be able to support it, and I want to be able to best know how to do it. Keep the end state in mind. Sometimes that helps with your literature review as well. Now you want to focus just on the literature review at first. Everything else is going to flow from that. Your introduction will come after the literature review. You don't know what to introduce until you've created the literature review. So wait till the end for the introduction, as well as the application. Now, this article on dyslexia, I did my review of the literature, and then my application, my 10 tips, came directly from my review of the literature. But I started with the question, started with the lit review. Everything flowed from the lit review. In your lit review, in organizing your literature review, go from the general to the specific. Think of the upside down inverted triangle. What are thinking skills? And again, I have to know my audience. I'm assuming my audience doesn't know that. Writing and thinking. How should thinking skills be taught? How should writing skills be taught? Teaching thinking skills and writing. From general to specific. Now let's look at the writing. You are entering a teaching mode. You're teaching us. You're teaching your audience. So you need to get a sense of who your audience is or might be. In education, my audience is usually teachers. That's who I write for. I can picture my audience. I like teaching education courses because I have a good sense of my audience. Develop a sense of the audience, Listen to your writing. Oh, this is a great trick. If you go on Word, under View, and then Immersive Reader, it will read it out loud to you. This is incredible. This helps you develop a writer's ear. You can find free programs online as well to copy and paste your stuff. You hear the sentences that are a little clunky. You get better ideas. This is an invaluable tool. I use it. I've been writing for 25, 27 years. And this really helps me. I still use it. Especially if I get stuck on something, my writing just seems not to be going anywhere. I start listening to it. And then I get ideas of where to go. Sentences. When you're writing, you want to use as few sentences as possible. And keep them short and simple. Only include words that absolutely need to be there. Don't be afraid to break longer sentences into shorter ones. Use simple, precise words. And the word selection, the simplest word possible. Nothing sounds quite so silly as someone trying to sound smart. Big words. Neither impress nor inform. Clarity and economy of expression do impress and inform. Simple, precise words. Now let's take a look at paragraphs. Paragraphs are our friends. Get to know them. A paragraph is nothing more than a set of related ideas. Now, the idea that every paragraph has a topic sentence, that's not quite true. A topic sentence with supporting ideas, that's not quite true. Go look at some actual writing if you don't believe me. But paragraphs are a group of related ideas. When you're writing, here you see a paragraph. Now, this is without paragraphs. It's a blob of text. It's hard to read. It's hard to write. I don't know where I'm at. Simply including paragraphs when I started new ideas, start a new paragraph, that gives me a much better sense of structure. It's a lot easier to read. Same thing, but now if I include headings and subheadings, it's even easier to read, easier to write, because I can see the structure and the sequence of ideas. Headings and subheadings are very good things. Use them. When you start a new idea, start a new paragraph. Remember, a paragraph is a set of related ideas. When you start a new idea, start a new paragraph, and err on the side of too many paragraphs rather than too few. There's nothing wrong with a lot of paragraphs. There is something wrong with a big blob of text. It's hard to read. It's hard to write. In general, you want to avoid one-sentence paragraphs, or one sentence being a paragraph. In general, I say there's always exceptions. And a paragraph, you want to say it and support it. A paragraph is a single idea with support and explanation, not a series of unsupported sentences slapped together. When you start a new idea, start a new paragraph, here are just some kind of unrelated ideas slapped together. Each one of them is lovely in and of itself, but it needs supporting ideas. Each one of these should be a paragraph. So you can see I've taken each one of these paragraphs and I've started just with this first one. Pre-writing is an important part of the writing process, and here I am all explaining that first idea. And I go back here to the second one. That would be a paragraph, and I'd explain and support. And the third one, you get the idea. Explain and support. Don't just randomly slap sentences together. The fourth thing here, we don't believe you. What? No, we don't. We don't believe you. Let me unpack that. In your writing, you want to eliminate I thinkisms. That's a declarative statement without any supporting evidence. An I thinkism. Thinking skills should be embedded in writing instruction. Oh, why should they? Why should you believe me if I just say that? But if I say thinking skills should be embedded in writing instruction and I cite Smith, it moves from an I thinkism to a not an I thinkism. That's why we say it and we cite it. You need to avoid should statements and need to be statements. Teachers should teach thinking skills. Why? Why should they? Teachers need to teach thinking skills. Why? Why do they need to? I don't believe you. This is better. Teaching thinking skills enables all students to develop high-level thinking. So I've said it and I support it. I don't have needs to or shoulds. So go through your paper. If you see any shoulds and needs to, get rid of them. Better yet, teaching thinking skills enables all students to develop high-level thinking, and I cite it. Because no one believes the little bald guy, I need to cite it. Graphic organizers sometimes are good to develop your paragraphs. A statement and then the supporting supports and explanations. Don't be afraid to use something like that to develop your paragraphs. And the last one, let the ideas speak, not the author. I don't want to bump into your authors when I'm reading your stuff. Say it and cite it. Smith says that teaching thinking skills impacts writing. No, don't give away your writing power. Just say it. Teaching thinking skills impacts writing, and then cite it. Smith, 2021. Say it and cite it. I don't want to hear about Smith. Smith reports that, according to Smith, research shows that, in a report by Smith, Smith recommends, I'm sick of Smith. Say it and cite it. I don't want to hear about Smith. And neither do I want a paper full of quotes. I tell my students they're allowed one quote. You want to let the ideas speak, not the authors. And here's an over-exaggeration. In his book, Franklin said, blah, 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 blah. Smith says, blah, 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 blah. Jones reports, blah, 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 blah. According to Hansen, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's not my ideas. I'm just splattering and pasting together what other people have said. No. Read the idea. Paraphrase the idea. Say it and cite it. You want one quote at the most, and that should be used just to highlight what you have said anyway. All right, academic writing, a few more tips. We have been focusing on the literature review.